Welcome to the REITE Club podcast, where the focus is on helping you, the real estate investor, advance to the next level. And now let's join this week's hosts and share ways for you to customize your life.
We kind of jumped, not really knowing what we were doing, but knowing it was a good idea. And we could kind of learn the parts we didn't know about as we went.
Awesome. So can I ask, like, how do you guys split the investment tasks? Are you both doing everything together? Is one person doing the management? One person's doing the acquisition? Like, how do you guys have that set up?
So we don't manage our own stuff. That for us was the biggest piece when we first got in. And we didn't realize at the time that you could be a landlord, but not be active in it, right? Like, and once we kind of had that conversation, we were like, oh, that's exactly what we want to do. We want to be investors. We don't want to be landlords, right? We didn't want to deal with tenant issues. We were both working shifts. We had 3 small children. Like, what happens if something goes in the middle of the night? We're not in a position where we can deal with that. And really, we didn't want to. So the beauty was we were introduced to property management. And back then, it wasn't mainstream like it is now. So there weren't a whole lot of options and opportunities for it up here. But there was a company in Sudbury that we started with. And it took us a couple of years to realize that we didn't really align with each other and we didn't fit. And that had given the market enough time to kind of grow a couple of newcomers that saw that there was a need for those kinds of services. So we added a new property management company to our team in 2013 in Sudbury, and we've been happily married to them ever since. So
that is awesome. I mean, it's interesting to see, because sometimes your team changes over time too, right? Sometimes you're like, this person has to be, updated or upgraded if you want, or, sometimes they start off amazing and then things happen. I mean, same thing with contractors, sometimes you use
Oh, for sure. And that list changes all the time, right? Like a referral list or a trade list. We're always kind of adding and moving. But just to get back to, you were talking about how do we handle it together? Mm-hmm. So we're pretty lucky. We're fairly complementary. So I'm the gas pedal, Steph's the brake. And that's kind of how we work. And he really likes looking for deals. I really like organizing all of the different pieces once we find something, and kind of connecting with everybody who needs us to sign or talk about the financing. Like, it seems like I organize and Steph is like the doer. So it fits us really well.
Yeah. So really well.
Awesome. So now you've got, I think, 20 doors, a vacant lot, 2 properties in the US. Are you still financing everything yourself, or did you bring in joint venture partners or money partners along the way? How did that work out?
So we did the first 2. The 2 originals were our own money. Well, the equity from our house, like that came from us. So in 2020, we joined a mentoring group. We had kind of gotten to the point where we had at that point the 2 buildings in Sudbury and a single family house that we had started off as a fix and flip, and then ended up kind of being like a burr, and we just held on to it as a rental. And we wanted to grow, but we didn't really know how, because we were out of money, right, for the down payments. So we were kind of like, well, there has to be more people like us out there that are investors and kind of get how this works, but keep going. So social media was really exploding back then with Facebook groups and all of these different connections. So we joined a mentoring group, and it blew our world right open. Yeah. And not so much the content of the group, but the connections that we made. And that kind of introduced us to OPM and using other people's money and how to do it properly and organized and making sure that it's a win-win strategy and that the exit was clearly planned before you even really got into the deal. So our last 4 deals have been, maybe 5 deals, have been with OPM in differing degrees, right? Some have been full OPM, some have been like piecemeal together and partial. But it's really opened up our investing game, and it's really growing our portfolio.
I think that's really interesting that you talk about other people's money, because what a lot of people don't realize that when you go to the bank, that's actually other people's money. It's not your money.
Yes.
Regardless of where you go, it's other people's money, right?
Yep.
You didn't put that money in the bank account. The bank gave you a mortgage, or wherever you go for a mortgage.
Yep.
But I did want to, I think, focus on the fact that you went to these Facebook groups and the mentoring, and it was the connections that were really, really important.
Oh, for sure.
we found in our, in our investing, real estate investing company, it's, you can have all the properties in the world and all the rest of it, but you need the connections, you need your network, because if that person doesn't know something, well, they might not know what you need, but they might know somebody who does have what you need.
And
right?
that's been exactly our experience. Like our network in the last year and a half has grown so significantly, and it's grown us at the same time. And it's just like this really awesome circle of info sharing and connecting and growing. And real estate, in our opinion, it's a huge game. There's tons of room for everybody to share information and be successful. Like I know there's a lot of people that don't like to share, and I get that sharing is pretty individual, and I get that, but we're like, share all the secrets, because there's lots of room out there, right, for everybody to do what they want to do and be successful at it.
And what's funny is a lot of people that I work with and I share or real estate journey with think, wow, you must be really smart, and so on and so forth. We're pretty smart, I would say. But the thing is, in expanding our network, we surround ourselves with subject matter experts, people that know a lot more about certain things than we do, and that just helps our success just bloom. So that's been one of the things we've really worked on.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing.
And I mean, that's what brought us to you guys, right? And it's just different connections we made that this is kind of where the road goes. So we're happy to walk it and have the conversations and share in the hopes that somebody else will benefit from it. Because I know how much we love listening to other people's stories and applying it to what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. So I know there's a lot of great stories. There's a lot of great success, and you guys are, an example of a successful couple doing it. But what are some of the challenges that you could share? Because ultimately, it's not all what it seems to be on the surface. There's definitely, it's I think, a mental toughness game at some points in the journey, whether it's, problems with contractors or problems with tenants, or, what are some of the challenges, if you don't mind sharing, that happened to you along the way that somebody can maybe learn from?
Oh, there's so many. like you said, right, we've all had things go wrong and things and struggles and bumps in the road. I don't know, what do you think's the biggest challenge?
One of the things, so we're part of a mentorship group, so there's a number of people that we've really connected with, and one of the things that I find tough is you can call it keeping up with the Joneses syndrome. So having to try to keep up, or you get to a point where you feel like you're stalling out and you have to make another move, but you're only limited by your OPM and your availability to make deals. So that's one of the things I found a little bit tough, trying to hold back the reins a little bit and wait for the next ideal, not necessarily unicorn, but the
next
ideal
good deal for us. Right. And it's kind of about staying in our lane. Because I know every time we have a conversation with somebody in our group or in our network that is doing something amazing, right away, Steph is like, oh God, we should be doing that too. Should we be doing that? Maybe we should be doing that too. And it's like, no. Like, let's look at it and see where we are and does it fit what we're trying to do and where we're at. So we laugh about that kind of stuff lots, where it's like, you know what, let's be really excited because they've got something great going on. And if it fits for us, then we can move too. And if it doesn't, then that's okay. We can still be happy and kind of ride out whatever's going on in our portfolio at the time and wait for our next turn to do something with. So, and I mean, in terms of tenant challenges and contractor challenges, we've all been there, right? Renovation projects that are over budget and take too long. That was our biggest challenge with our first single family house that we bought. It was supposed to be a fix and flip, and it was a really great house in a nice area that had tons of character and that we knew we could fix up. And we did too much and it took too long and we went way over budget. And then by the time we were finished, the market wasn't doing what we needed it to do to sell it for what we needed to sell it for. So we kind of sat around and went, oh my God, like we did that all wrong. Like, how are we ever going to fix this? And then my dad said, he said, can't you use it as a rental? Like if you've, you know what I mean? And ride it out for a while until the market improves or adjusts. He said, in the meantime, you have somebody else kind of paying the mortgage. And at that point I was like, do people even rent single family houses? I didn't even know.
Yeah.
So we called the property manager and I said, this is kind of where we're at. And she went, oh my gosh, like I could rent a single family home faster than any apartment any day of the week. And 8 days later, a lady signed a lease and we were getting more rent than I ever thought we would get. And it just kind of clickety clicked along.
Thanks for listening to the REITE Club podcast, where the focus is on helping all levels of real estate investors advance to the next level and help you customize your life. Be sure to tune in next week at reiteclub.com/podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you get a few seconds, please rate the podcast wherever you're listening. It helps the show get noticed by others like you, and we truly appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe.